What Donald Trump said yesterday in North Carolina has like burned into my mind. This paired up with that poll that we saw, I think it was on CNN, the YouGov poll, basically shows you that American politics is so done. Republican voters and what they care about, it was like 70% owning the libs. And then the second thing on there was like end wokeness. And then like there was, the third one was I think like making sure that there is no gun control. Like those were the three major things that they cared about. Only one of them is like kind of a policy. But here's Donald Trump even personally recognizing how kind of crazy that is. Look at this.
Critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children.
People are like standing up. I've never seen so many people with diabetes like use most of the remaining power they have in their body to get up for that, because he said transgender.
It's amazing how strongly people feel about that. You see, I'm talking about cutting taxes. People go like that. Talk about transgender. Everyone goes crazy. Who would have thought 5 years ago you didn't know what the hell it was?
Huh. Who would have thought? Makes you think, right? That's interesting. How did that happen? It's so funny that he just says it outright, okay? But the disgusting freaks, the pieces of shit in the audience don't even understand it. They're like, no, we are manipulated, actually. Thank you. But keep manipulating us, sir. Segregationist George Wallace said the same thing about building roads and good schools, but nobody caring until he shouted racial slurs. I know. This has been a very important part of the Republican Party's racial agitated propaganda for so many years, okay? That's the hilarious part about this, okay? Is that it's not new. The subject matter changes, but the attacks are identical. And the more openly you say it, there's like a tightrope, basically. As long as you balance it so that you don't go super overboard, but you just say the right things, and you say like trans people are crazy, you'll get the claps and you will get the applause. They don't give a fuck about the actual policies that hurt their lives, that harm their genuine material conditions. It was like when you were saying that Joe Rogan shouldn't know about facial feminization surgery. They're being instructed on purpose. Yeah. Why do you think no one brought up the groomer pedophile angle during the whole bathroom bill craze from a few years ago? Because the bathroom bill craze was a dud, okay? It didn't work. Republicans went off on trans people in North Carolina, and everyone universally said, no, that's fucking insane. Shut the fuck up. And then they went back to the drawing board and they focus tested different attacks, different angles of attacks. And a lot of things happened in that process too. QAnon broke a lot of people's brains. Like people felt increasingly more isolated and found safe harbor on internet spaces. People's brains broke completely. And then they came back stronger than ever before. They focus tested it. They found out that like the most viable angle of attack for trans people was cis women playing with trans women in sports, because it wasn't even about trans people, because most people just think like trans people are weird. I don't really get it. It's apathy, right? But they care about this sense of fairness. So they were able to straight up hammer on and on and on again that trans people were eradicating fairness. They were eradicating fairness by existing. So they paired it up with a significantly more successful strategy and then relaunched the anti-trans vitriol. And the reason why they were attacking trans people was because they could no longer attack gay people. And they basically are attacking gay people now as well, by the way, because the more people do not fight back against this kind of reactionary sentiment, the more they will increase the stress, the more they will go crazy. They basically did this. Hold on, I'll show you. There was an ad called All Gays Are Pedophiles. Unfortunately, not quite a dead horse trope yet. Gay agenda. Somebody think of the children. This was, I believe, from 1961 or 1950s, if I'm not mistaken.
Then during lunch, Ralph showed him some pornographic pictures. Jimmy knew he shouldn't be interested, but, well, he was curious. What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious. A sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual, a person who demands an intimate relationship.
Look at that.
With members of their own sex.
Last time we watched this, we were laughing about how fucking stupid and how silly it was. And over the course of the 1 year, homophobia and transphobia have like skyrocketed both at the Republican state legislatures all across the country, and especially on Twitter, that now I can't even fucking laugh at this shit. It's so stupid, but it's like way more nefarious when you recognize the purpose behind this kind of vitriolic sentiment.
But all homosexuals are not passive. Some resort to violence, as in the case of Mike Merrick. When they finished, the stranger told him he'd make a fine player someday if he got lots of practice. The companionship, the praise, the friendly attitude dispelled any misgivings Mike might have had about going with a stranger. He probably never realized until too late that he was riding in the shadow of death. But sometime that evening, Mike Merrick traded his life for a newspaper headline.
Identical arguments were launched towards gay people over and over again, calling them fucking pedophiles, calling them pedophiles. I didn't see a single goddamn priest in this video. I didn't see a single goddamn Republican congressperson in this fucking video. And now they had to shelf this kind of rhetoric for a little bit because it was seen as like weird, gross, bigoted, because it had become normalized to be accepting of gay people in society. 1970s homophobia, 2020s transphobia. They're indoctrinating kids, they're recruiting in schools, kids will grow out of it. It's the parents' fault. It's not natural. They're too young to know. It's all the same. What did Megan Fox say about this? Dude, I really don't want to give you this attention because you're clearly a cloud chaser, but let me teach you something. Regardless of how desperate you may become at any given time to acquire wealth, power, success, or fame, never use children as leverage or social currency. Thank you. Exactly. Especially under malevolent and erroneous pretense. Exploiting my child's gender identity to gain attention in your political campaign has put you on the wrong side of the universe. I have been burned at the stake by insecure, narcissistic, impotent little men like you many times, and yet I'm still here. You fucked with the wrong witch. Okay, that last part is kind of cringe, but she's right. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so crazy that you're like screaming at like a person and their children on the virtue of how they choose to present themselves. Like they're kids, man. That's gross. It's so disgusting to me that you literally are just like, yo, you can't do that actually. Like your kid has long hair. Fuck you. Okay. Who the fuck are you, dude? Who are you? You think you can tell someone else who's open-minded about whichever way their children want to express themselves? Like, what's wrong with you, dude? Her ex-husband defended her and said it's all bullshit. Brian Austin Green shoots down rumor about Megan, their kids in girls' clothes. What did he say? Starbucks ads, I saw two of them on full breakdown. When Brian tells TMZ, it's a totally bogus story. There are only a few people in their world that can actually verify whether or not a story like this is true, and I can tell you with absolute certainty it's not. This person is trying to claim this is the true perfect example of someone with selfish motives that does not care about the negatively affecting a parent-child relationship. For the record, Megan has said she does not tell children what to wear, particularly their eldest Noah. 5 years ago, she did a few interviews saying if a boy loves princesses and a girl loves baseball, that's not indicative of their sexuality. It's indicative of their communication and creative expression. We can't limit children by telling them how they should play. Exactly. This is like basic stuff. How is this in any way, shape, or form now a legitimate way to do politics? Oh, my politics are I'm freaking out about like a 5-year-old and how a 5-year-old is dressing up. Brother, they're 5 years old. How about you worry about yourself? It's disgusting. And when I see people celebrating that kind of like weirdo behavior, it hurts my soul. It hurts me to my core to see people look at like a gross weirdo pervert like this taking fucking like paparazzi snapshots of Megan Fox and her fucking children and then losing their mind over like what their choice of garb is. That's not politics. You're a creep. You're a fucking creepy, possibly pedophilic pervert. Okay. And when I see other people, substitute this for politics, it blows my fucking mind. I don't like how obsessive and creepy conservatives are about children, especially other people's children, not even their own children. Half of these dudes don't have children. Most of these people don't have children. Some of them are not even allowed to be physically near children. And the ones that do have children actually fucking homeschool their children anyway, so they can be bigoted little shits just like them and like permanently brick those kids' brains. So what's it to you, man? What happened to live and let live? I don't know. This shit is like so frustrating. Right-wingers obviously will never in a million years genuinely say this is what we care about because they're too pussy to fucking openly admit it. Because the ones that do openly admit their politics and their personal disdain for the LGBT community or whatever and what they want to do to gay people and trans people are usually cast aside, which which is why they have to use dog whistles and they have to use like points of contention that no one can get mad at. It's the when did you start beating your wife or when did you stop beating your wife defense. There's a hidden premise there. We need to save our children or we need to save these kids. We need to get them away from them is a cowardly way to hide the truth of what your personal disdain is for the LGBT community. And it has a hidden faulty premise, a completely ridiculous premise that children, one, can be turned gay, and two, they can be turned gay by recognizing the existence of like gay and trans people in society. And three, children can be turned gay by seeing, gay people in the wild. And also, if they are able to be turned gay, that's somehow a bad thing. All three of these hidden premises are so perfectly captured in the let's leave kids out of this kind of dog whistle. Like Sneeko and EDP have talked against trans people and have said that we must save our children. I mean, Sneeko is a fan of the movie Cuties and also has literally just last week been caught on camera openly flirting with someone who is underage, where he asked, alongside another fucking gross weirdo, exactly how underage are you? Okay, the girls were 14 years old. And now he's talking about like how the LGBT community are fucking groomers and pedophiles. EDP, everybody knows at this point, is a very famous pedophile. One of the most famous pedophiles out there. EDP also talks about how trans people are grooming our children and we have to save our children. That shows you everything you need to know about this movement. It's like people who are quite literally pedophiles, like actual pedophiles, trying to shift the blame away at some invisible enemy, hoping that the broader audience doesn't recognize that they are the real pedophiles.
No, don't say that. Actually, we would make a great double date. I like you on the left, and I think Zerka likes the girl on the right.
They're both on the left. What up, girls? I want to kiss you guys.
How old are you?
What the
Oh, I got that white bitch smiling. Let's go.
Stop. How old are you guys?
Underage. Well,
Oh.
you just
Like,
yeah.
like how underage though? Like your birthday's next week type shit?
Like, we can't go to Starbucks, white bitch?
And I will be turning 15 in a month.
Change my state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah, that's the guy talking about if leaving the children alone is homophobic, what does that say about the LGBT? It's like, bro, we got to leave the children alone. Like, you got to leave the children alone. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely got to do that. The second part of this fucking clown behavior comes from the likes of Ben Shapiro, where they also lose their minds at the rainbow flag. You are not a serious person if you see the White House drop a rainbow flag and you just lose your mind. Not one American soldier fought and bled for this flag. Not one American taxpayer paid taxes to the government for this flag. Not one law has been passed under a government elected under this flag. Like, does he think it's gay Wakanda or something now? America now is like gay Conda? Like, it's not a real nation state, Ben. It's not. It just says like, hey, there's a lot of gay and trans queer Americans, some of which actually were in the military, some of which are still in the military if you care about the military. And, this is just a recognition from the United States government, perhaps like the most subtle and like smallest bit of recognition that like gay people exist and we care about them. It's just so strange. Like, this is not politics, man. You're just fucking crying about some dumb shit. Yeah, Mighty Keith was trying to understand what was going on with the Nick Merckx thing. For example, shit like this. How is the conversation? How does this help at all? I've seen this type of back and forth the entire time on both sides when researching the Nick Merckx drama. Shit like this should be called out and removed so we can have an actual discussion. Unit 03 says, 2 snowflakes, lol, Tim the Cry Man and Cry Merckx. And this guy says, okay, groomer. So first of all, it definitely holds a lot more weight when you're calling someone a fucking groomer versus saying that someone is a snowflake. Okay, but typical blue checkmark guy says, okay, groomer, immediately 500 likes. I said, Republicans have effectively lowered discourse to screaming groomer at anyone who defends LGBT existence. And this guy immediately proves my point by saying something a groomer would say. Word has no meaning anymore. No, the word still has a meaning. That's why it's very frustrating to me when I get called a groomer or a pedophile by dudes who literally are pedophiles. Groomer/pedo is becoming the cuck of 2023, a meaningless word overused to death over and over again by people too dumb to navigate a single serious thought because they've never had one. Same reason why they buy the same game year after year. Yeah. How often do we hear SJW anymore? It's because they've substituted SJW for groomer. That's what they say now. They're like, SJW is now meaningless, so let's just just fucking call them groomers. I don't think someone being called a snowflake is the same as someone being called a groomer. I don't think those two words hold the same level of weight. I know that Mighty Keef's larger point here is that like discourse has been whittled to someone being like, you're a crybaby, and the other person straight up calling them a groomer instead of like actually having a conversation. But it's really hard to have a conversation with some of these fucking people because all they got is this. They just be like, oh dude, you think we should accept gay people? Okay, groomer. I mean, yeah, this is my take as well. If some rainbows can take down Western civilization, it wasn't meant to stand. Like, you're out of your fucking mind, dude. You're out of your mind. Saying, like, we shouldn't hate crime gay people means that the West is fallen. One of the best Juniper tweets, screen cap. I used to think the Progress Pride flag was kind of mad, but then I realized that conservatives catching a glance of it causes 100 concurrent 9/11s in their minds, and that's pretty dope. I mean, yeah, that is it. I feel the same fucking way. I love doing the ironic like homophobia jokes or the fucking ironic like I'm a foe jokes. And also I shit on rainbow capitalism quite fucking frequently on this broadcast. But god damn it, dude, it's become impossible. Conservatives fucking stole that from us. We can't even have like in-group jokes because they literally were just like, yeah, actually, no, we do want to kill fucking gay and trans people. Like, they need to be relegated back into the fucking darkest crevices of society because I can't handle the thought of like gay people and trans people existing and coexisting.